Chevy Spark race seat. One day I had this crazy idea to take my Chevy Spark EV and try and put a race seat in it. The stock seats are kind of laughable when it comes to bolstering. For a car that handles so agile and is so fast, you'd think they would have put something else in here. The race seat thing is not my idea. It was actually on the forums and on grassrootsmotorsports.com. I'm just documenting it. Unfortunately, not a lot of companies make aftermarket accessories for the Chevy Spark. Planted Seat Bracket Technologies makes a bracket for the Chevy Sonic 2012 Plus, which is eerily similar to these front hooks that the Chevy Spark uses for its stock bracket. The bracket is super high quality and the welds are amazing. Word of caution when working on aftermarket seats and removing your stock seat: that yellow connection is an airbag connector. That connection needs to have the 12-volt battery disconnected from the negative terminal for at least a half hour to discharge it. It's probably a good idea not to be charging the lithium-ion battery too. To get started, the stock seat only has two 15mm bolts that have to come out. Pull the seat towards the steering wheel to access the two rear bolts. They had some blue Loctite on them from the factory. Before the seat can be removed, you have to remove the three connections from under the seat. The airbag has a red safety tab. Pull up on the tab and pull out the connection. We're going to have to insert a resistor in here to fool the airbag light. The other two connections are basic push and pull tabs. Remove those and you can remove the front seat by rocking the seat forward, up off the two front tabs and backwards towards the rear of the car. Putting down the headrest helped as well, and pulling it out of the front seat was definitely easier than the back seat. And now the moment we've all been waiting for. The planted Sonic bracket fits those stock two front hooks perfectly. Now the first issue is this ECU looking device was coming in contact with that center bar of the planted bracket. When fully test fitted, the two rear feet were off by about an inch to an inch and a half. Now the bad news is that the bracket itself stock does not fit, but with some modifications, this bracket will fit your Spark EV. Two relief cuts had to be made. One for this ECU looking junction box, and the other relief cut was for the actual Corbo slider, so that slider adjustment can have room for the arm to pivot. The planted seat bracket has space and holes for almost every single aftermarket seat and slider out there. If not, you can drill your own. The seatbelt catch, with its electrical connection, also is able to be transferred over to the planted bracket, retaining full use of your stock seatbelt system. The bracket modification worked so it clears this. So you don't want to be screwing around leaning things on this connection, because that's what that bar did. It leaned heavily on that connection. If you were to torque this down like this, you would actually break these connections. So you can use your own rails, Sparco, planted rails. As it doesn't work as a full bolt-on kit, you can definitely make the Sonic bracket work for the Chevy Spark. The planted bracket is super strong, but it was also able to be drilled and modified quite easily. If you're really good at fabrication and don't want to make a little bracket, you could probably remove this foot and re-weld it so it fits in the perfect spot. The approximate center of this bolt to the center of what the hole would be for the foot. If you're sitting in the back seat, this is the right foot. So we've got 1 inch and 5/16. That's 33.5 millimeters and 1.3185 inches. Moving on to the left foot, we have 54.70 millimeters, so about 55 millimeters. This seat changed the whole entire attitude of the car. It put me lower into the car, so I have a lower center of gravity. It's actually more comfortable than the stock seat. The only thing I don't have are seat heaters. So the good thing about it is this is 100% back to stock. Within 15 minutes, I can have the stock seat back in with everything working. I ordered an SRS airbag tester, so we're actually going to test the resistance of the airbag connection without destroying anything, because there's a special fuse in this that'll blow the fuse before it does any damage to any ECU or anything in your car, computer, airbag, SRS wise. So stay tuned for part 2. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, hit the bell, hit that thumbs up. Don't hesitate to ask any questions, as part 2 will be coming out shortly when we get our SRS airbag tester. Alright everyone, SVTWRC, Spark EV, Race Seat, out.